Okay, Tony Mormino, and right now I'm about to write a script and record a video. I call it a talking heads video where I'm looking right at the camera on my iPhone, and I'm going to be doing what's called just a breaking news story. So I do these segments called HVAC breaking news of the day. I try to do one a week, even though it's breaking news of the day. But what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how I find the news story I want to report on. How do we write the script? We're going to do that using ChatGPT. So I'm going to sit down on my computer. We're going to go through that, write the script first. Then I'm going to show you how to put it in your mobile phone teleprompter through the CapCut app. And then I'm going to sit down right here and I'm going to record it. Okay? I'll show you how I kind of pick out the place to record it and what I do there. So let's go write the script. Then we'll come back to the mobile camera here and we'll look at how all that comes together. All right, so it's a great idea, whatever industry you're in, to subscribe to some popular industry news magazines. I guess we call them magazines still, but they're really news websites. They're a great resource. This is one that I have a subscription to, which is the Air Conditioning, Heating, Refrigeration News, ACHR News, which is very popular in our industry. But every industry has something like this, so please subscribe to it. And I get alerts in my inbox, and I got one for this story yesterday, which is a great one to report on. So what I do is I take these stories and I report them as a neutral voice. Hey, this bill has been passed. Here's what it means for the HVAC industry. Some things appear to be good for us, some not so good. What do you think? That's kind of the premise. Sometimes I'll take a side because I want to put a little personality in there, but there's my GoPro powering off. But you can basically report on any story from a neutral position and just say, hey, what do you think? And it's a great way to get engagement in the chat. It's a great way to, learn what's important to people and what's not important to people. And you may see the chat and get another story out of that. So anyway, so what I do is I take this article, okay, and I go to GPT chat and I say, hey, I'm ready for another breaking news of the day story. I have one in mind. Can you help me write a script? Okay, so what I'm doing and what I've learned with chat is you got to kind of start slow, tell it what you're trying to do, and then feed it the information it needs, okay? So now it's asking me to drop the story, a link to the story in the chat here. Now I can tell you if you don't have I think it's the 4.0 version, it can't see websites. So I'm going to take this web address. Oops, what did I do here? All right, I messed up here. Let me go back and there we go. Okay, back on the start. Copy, hit the wrong button, hit the wrong paste button. Okay, so now I'm going back here. I'm going to paste the news article here. Okay. Okay. So it's giving me a script here. Now I'm going to take this script. Big, beautiful. Okay, so this looks pretty close to what I want. So here's what I do. I copy this. Okay, I'm going to copy this. And I'm going to go ahead and put it in Notepad. You can do this on any, word processing device. The reason I do it here is going to become evident soon because I'm going to take it, pull up my phone, and I'm going to copy and paste this into the script that I'm going to read off. So, okay, the way I always start these is HVAC breaking news. ... Okay. They know who I am, so I'm getting rid of that. The One Big Beautiful Bill Act just landed on President Trump's desk, bringing both wins and pains for HVAC. Here's what you need to know. Boom. Love it. Okay. One, what's the big picture? Signed July 3rd. Qualified businesses and deductions. Okay, let's read this here. Signed July 3rd, permanently extends key provisions. Okay, that seems important. We may put that near the end. What you want to do too is you want to start with the stuff you think is going to be the most relevant and maybe save that one. That's relevant to some people, but not a lot of people are business owners and it's kind of boring. So let's see what else is in here. Workforce boost with 529 major. Okay, that's a good one. I'm going to probably lead with that one. Okay. So ACAA and SMACNA leaders are calling this a game changer for skilled trades, helping shift public perception and strengthening the workforce pipeline. Okay. Major tax credit losses, but it's not all bright. After December 31st, 2025. And I'm going to get rid of played a huge role. I'm just going to say I've played a role because I don't want to look like I'm for it or again it, as we say here in the mountains. Okay, and I'm not going to say this is good or bad. I'm going to remain neutral. So I'm just going to call this tax credit losses. Lose section 2. Okay, so I keep that neutral. We'll call that 3. Okay. All right, I don't know how to fix it. That's okay. Commercial incentives under threat. Commercial side incentives. These all have to do with like energy efficiency projects. So some people think that's good that they're going away. Some people think it's bad. So I'm going to stay neutral on it. Residential contract. Should prioritize. What does this mean for your viewers, for residential contractors, commercial contractors? So I'm going to ask chat to give me, please, because the way it gave me number 6, I'm not going to be able to read that on the teleprompter. Please rewrite 6 in paragraph form so I can read off of the teleprompter. And this is just a teleprompter on my phone, so don't think you're not gonna be able to do this on your phone. Okay. That's a little long. So let's see where we're at. So copy. And this may seem like it takes a long time. And this part does take a little bit of time. But the more you do this, the quicker you're going to get. And the more time you spend on these, most of the time you'll get better reactions out of your audience. So this stuff does seem kind of boring. It actually seems rather boring of an article to me, but you'll be shocked how many people just want to be included in what's going on in the day-to-day business of the country and HVAC and stuff like that. Okay, all right, let's start over. Let's see where we're at in the big picture. Let's go ahead and make this number 1. This is a little long too. I'm going to have to definitely shorten this up. I like to keep these about a minute and a half at the longest. Workforce. So I'm going to have to rewrite. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep it after tax credit losses. Okay, that's the home energy credit. Maybe I will just keep this number 1. Why am I making it so complicated? Okay, copy. Get rid of the industry voices just because it's so long here. Okay, so I'm going to ask chat to, let's see, so what does this all mean for you if your residential contractor expect demand for high efficiency upgrades to slow down? See how much fun this is? You wanted to be an expert content creator. Now you got to sit here and watch this stuff. Now is the time to communicate with your customers. All right, I'm going to get rid of that. For commercial contractors, explanation of the ones. Okay, so that's a good summary of why. So what, right? Well, here's why. Okay. Okay, so the outro, that's your HVAC breaking news of the day. Opportunities and hurdles. And then I'm going to put a call to action. What are your thoughts? Is this good or bad? And this will spark some, hopefully, engagement in the comments. Okay, so I'm going to take all this, which is kind of a mess, and I'm going to put it back into chat and say, okay, here's a final draft. Please. By the way, I'm like the world's worst typer and speller. I'm glad I don't have to blog for a living. Let's see. Please clean up and streamline for teleprompter reading with me looking into the camera. Paste. Boom. Okay. So when I talked earlier or before about chat being a tool, this is what I'm talking about. Okay, we're using it. You got to talk to it like you're actually talking to a person who's helping you write this thing. Okay, so now I love what it's coming back with. HVAC breaking news of the day. The one big beautiful bill act just landed on President Trump's desk. It brings both wins and losses for the HVAC industry. Here's what you need to know. First, the big picture. Signed on July 3rd, 2025, the bill permanently extends key tax provisions like 199A, the qualified business income deduction. That's great news for HVAC contractors structured as S-corps, partnerships, and or sole proprietors, and the higher income thresholds. Next, a workforce boost. I'm wondering if I should move that workforce boost to the front. Excuse me. Workforce boost, sign out. Should we move the workforce it will resonate with our audience. So when I'm asking it to do that, it almost always says, oh yeah, that's great. Sometimes it'll say, wow, I love your idea. Here's the pros and cons of doing that, which is a nice way of it saying that's probably not a good idea. So now it still has signed on July 3rd as next. Okay, so it caught the hint there. So HVAC breaking news today. July 3rd, the one big, beautiful, just landed on President Trump's desk. It brings both wins. Here's what you need to know. A major win for the workforce. Big news for small business owners. Not everything's a win. What does this mean for you? Okay, so it's probably a little long, but I'm going to go with it. I'm going to copy this, put it in a notepad for reasons explained earlier, and I'm going to space it out a little bit, and you'll see why that's important in a minute. I think this is going to be a little long. Let me see here. And I forgot. Here's what you need to know as reported by ACHR. I want to give them credit because we're pulling the data from that story. Now, this information is not unique to ACHR. There's tons of stories out there on it. So how they relate it to HVAC is probably the unique part. So I want to make sure we give them due credit. And I do a lot to promote their website as well. So, Okay, we can go with it. It might be a little long, but I think we're gonna go with it. Okay, so we've got the script. Next, let's go to the remote camera, and I'll show you how I record this on my mobile phone. Okay, so actually, before we go to the GoPro, I think it might be easier for me to show you this from the mobile phone on the app. I'm not sure how the GoPro is going to pick up the fine details of the mobile app. So here's what I do. Okay, so I go to Notes on my mobile phone. I'm going to close this back here just so it's a little clearer. So, all right. And here's the segment. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this. And now I'm going to go to I don't do this very often, as you can see. Okay, so CapCut. We've talked about that on a few different videos. So CapCut is my go-to editing and recording teleprompter tool. So I'm going to go to All Tools. Let me make sure you saw that. All Tools. And there's a feature in here called Teleprompter, which I love. Okay, it's telling me the camera's not available because I'm putting it on the screen here. But this is what it looks like. And I will record me recording this in a moment. So I'm going to take the last story I did. That was about 2,200 words. Let's see what this one is. Or 2,200. Okay, so this isn't much different. Okay. Okay, so here's what's going to happen when you hit the record button. Always change this to 3 minutes, by the way. It's standard at 15 seconds. And you could change the speed, and I usually try to put it on 12, okay? You can play around with that to do it however you want. And I do oops, I lost it. And I do multiple clips. See on the bottom it says one shot, multiple clips. In case you got to pause it and start over, you'll see that when I record it. So here's the way I do it, okay? So let's say I was on my phone and I was looking at the phone reading this. It goes something like this. HVAC, breaking news of the day. And then I'm going to pause for a minute. And it's going to look weird when I'm recording it, but you're going to see, and you could also stop and, you know, if you need to stop and recalibrate and move this around, you can't do it much on the phone, but or on the computer. You're going to see when I'm recording it how it seems very weird because I'm pausing and I'm stopping. I'm doing that because when we go to clip it, when we go to cut it in CapCut, it's going to remove those pauses and it's going to make it look really good in terms of how it edits the video. So we'll show that in a minute. So I wanted to show this part here so you can see how it's oh, I can adjust it here. Nice and lined up. And you could actually move this. What you're going to see when I record this is you're going to see my face and my background behind it, and this is going to be on top of it. So it looks like, you know, people probably know you're reading a script, but it looks really natural, and it's a great way to do these kind of videos. Okay, now let's go to the GoPro and check this out. Okay, so here's my setup here. So I've got my phone with the teleprompter. Remember we looked at that on the computer. Okay, now where you choose to sit is very important. I have learned, so I've always want something in the background that says HVAC. So this is a Vito Pro Pack. It's a recognizable tool bag for service techs and those in the HVAC industry. Plus it says HVAC on there. And then of course the HVAC TV logos in the background. So I'm going to go ahead and hit record and start recording this. So when you're in this app, make sure you put it on 3 minutes. We'll go through there. Now what you're going to see is that it's going to be slow. It's going to be weird because I'm going to do a little bit and pause and do a little bit and pause, and that'll become evident when we do the editing in a minute here as to why we do it that way. So, all right, so you can see a little bit about what's happening there. So before I hit the record button, I just want to make sure you can see the HVAC, you see the signage in the background. So something that when they show up to the video, they say, oh, it's HVAC stuff. So I'm going to turn this just a smidge. And I want my body to kind of be like that so they can see everything. All right, so here we go. Let's give it a run here. HVAC. I'm going to start that over because I think I went a little too fast before it started recording. So you always want to give it a little bit of space. HVAC, breaking news and I did it again. I'm going to do it again. Hold on one more time. All right. Make sure I pause this time. HVAC, breaking news of the day. Signed on July 3rd, the One Big Beautiful Bill Act just landed on President Trump's desk, and it brings both wins and losses for the HVAC industry. Here's what you need to know as reported by ACHR. First, a major win for the workforce. 529 education savings accounts can now be used for HVAC training, apprenticeship, and licensing, not just college. Industry leaders like ACCA and SMACNA are now calling this a game changer. It helps legitimize the trades, opens new doors for young people, and strengthens the pipeline for future techs and contractors. Next, we have some big news for small business owners. The bill permanently extends Section 199A, the Qualified Business Income Deduction. That's a major benefit for HVAC contractors operating as S-corps, partnerships, or sole proprietors. And with expanded income thresholds, $75,000 for individuals and $150,000 for married couples, more businesses can keep claiming up to 20% in deductions. But not everything is a win. After December 31st, after December 31st, 2025, homeowners will lose access to Section 25C, the Energy Efficient Home Improvement Credit, and Section 25D, which includes geothermal and other clean energy upgrades. These credits, worth up to $3,200 per year, have played a big role in driving residential HVAC demand. And on the commercial side, more changes. So I'm going to save that video because you only get 3 minutes on the teleprompter. And I'm going to go back and just pick up where I left off. Section 45L, the residential builder credit, and Section 179D, the commercial energy efficiency deduction will both expire after June 30th, 2026. Groups like SMACNA and SMART, S-M-A-R-T, warn that losing these incentives could stall major energy savings projects. All right, so what does all this mean for you? If you're a residential contractor, expect demand for upgrades to slow once incentives disappear. Commercial contractors, the loss of 179D could impact funding, so start planning now and look into utility rebates or local programs. And for building owners and homeowners, if you're considering a high efficiency system, now might be the time to act. That's your HVAC breaking news of the day. The big beautiful bill brings both opportunity and challenges. What do you think? Is it good or bad for the HVAC industry? Okay, so we'll see how that goes. I'm going to try and show you how to edit this on the computer rather than on my phone. But here's the app, and here's the two recordings that we just did. So I'm going to pull these into the app. Let me see if I can do this from my phone, because I think it'll be easier to show you from there. Or let me see if I can do it from the computer as I mirror my phone to the computer. Let's try that. Okay, back at the computer here. Let's see if we could do this on the computer as I mirror my screen, because I think it'll be a little easier to see. Okay, so again, I'm in the CapCut app, which is this app right here. These are previous videos I've done. So what you want to do is go ahead and add the project. I'm going to add both of these to the timeline. And let's go ahead and play a little of it. HVAC breaking news of the day. Signed on July 3rd, I have to say too, it's going to be a little weird when you start doing this. Like, it's uncomfortable to watch yourself. I've seen myself so many times. I know I'm a goofball and I look like an idiot half the time. I'm pretty comfortable with it. But if you're new and you have that feeling, it's okay. It's not uncommon to have that feeling. So, okay, so this is why, I don't know if I can make this bigger. I don't think I can. Okay, I hope you can see that okay. But anyway, this is why we do the pauses in there. So what happens is, and I've got two clips here. Oh, here's something I'm going to do before and there's a million CapCut videos out there. I'm going to give you some tips here, but I don't want to make this too long. So I'm going to give you some tips here to how to do. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm highlighting the entire clip. Now remember, there's two clips. First one was about 3 minutes. Next one was about a minute. But you're going to see how that's going to substantially get cut down automatically too, which is really nice. So what I do first, though, anything I need to do to the entire clip, I do that first. For example, the sound. So what I always do is take the volume and I put it up to about 450. HVAC breaking news of the day. Okay, and now if you hit this loudness adjustment here, it's going to adjust all the clips, which in this case there's only two, so it's to adjust both clips to the same loudness, okay? Signed on July. Why that's important is if you're on LinkedIn and you're scrolling through the videos or on any social media platform, you'll notice the ones that have good, clear, not crazy loud, but loud sound will get more attention, okay? Because it grabs your attention because you don't want to have to struggle to hear it. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is go to captions. which is under this text button, and auto captions. And there's tons of different types of captions in here. You could play around with the ones you like. I particularly like this one right here. For some reason, I'm liking this one right now, but I go through phases where I use all different kinds of them. You know, and there's some that are just one word, which are really quick, and there's some that are full sentences. So you pick whatever you go through. I'll kind of give you my opinion. Something like this where I'm talking rather slowly is okay for the one word kind of deal. Okay, so it's generating the captions for the entire video. Now here's the key. Here's what's important. So it's got this thing here, delete 27 clips. And it'll also, watch, when you hit this delete, it'll say, do you want to delete the captions and the corresponding clip? Click yes. And now what it did is it cut those pauses out. And what that does with the video is it makes it very, I don't know what the term is. There's a term for that, but it kind of jumps around a little bit, but it keeps your attention. It's really a positive thing. Now, for some reason, it usually doesn't get the first pause.
HVAC break.
Oh, it did on this one. Okay. And it always likes to torture me with the HVAC. So what happened here is, look, I'm going through and let me get back to the beginning of this. Okay. And I'm making the timeline bigger and smaller here. That's why you're seeing it jump around a little bit. So see. So HVAC, sometimes you got to go through and check these. So let's start over. Let's see how it sounds. Yeah, it doesn't take the first clip. So I always, what you want to do with these videos, you literally get like 1 to 3 seconds for the hook. So you don't want that pause in there because you've already lost the audience. So what I do is I take this and I move it over. And if you're doing this on your phone, wherever the pointer is would just be your finger, right? So
HVAC.
And even that might be a little bit of too much of a pause. So I'm going to take this and move it like right up to that. Ooh, I might have got it too much. Let's see here.
HVAC.
Got a little aggressive there.
HVAC breaking news of the day. Signed on July.
Okay, so do you see that, how it jumped there? That's because it naturally took that clip out. See that?
Day. Signed on July 3rd, the One Big Beautiful Bill.
And I'm going to also take these captions and I'm going to move them up to about right here. So the rule of thumb is you want it to be kind of near the person's mouth who's speaking. I usually keep it a little bit lower because it draws your attention to the person's face and it helps you connect a little bit more. So
One big HVAC breaking news of the day. Signed on July 3rd, the One Big Beautiful Bill Act just landed on President Trump's desk, and it brings both wins and losses for the HVAC industry.
HBC. Believe it or not, this is a little bit easier on the phone. So this is great, though, because I'm able to show you all how to do this. Apparently, I'm not used to doing it very much, so let's start. Let's see.
Desk, and it brings both wins and losses for the HVAC industry. Here's what you need to know as reported by ACHR. First, a major win for the workforce. 529, education safety.
So one of the things I'm trying to improve, and I'm always learning and trying to improve, is I have a tendency to shout into the mic that generally does not come off very well. You want to speak with a firm voice, but not like this, which I notice I'm doing there, but that's okay. I try not to reshoot these things 50 times just for time.
First, a major win for the workforce. 529 education savings accounts can now be used for HVAC training, apprenticeship, and licensing, not just college. Industry leaders like ACCA and SMACNA are now calling this a game changer. It helps legitimize the trades, opens new doors for young people, and strengthens the pipeline for future techs and contractors. Next, we have some big news for small business owners. The bill permanently extends Section 199A, the Qualified Business Income Deduction. That's a major benefit for HVAC contractors operating as S-corps, partnerships, or sole proprietors. And with expanded
Okay, I just wanted to check that spelling.
And with expanded income thresholds, $75,000 for individuals and $150,000 for married couples, more businesses can keep claiming up to 20% in deductions. But not everything is a win. After December 21st, after December 31st, 2020.
Okay, so see how I had to correct myself there? So if you're doing it and you make a mistake, just pause, say it correctly. Then when you come back here to edit, you just delete the one that was wrong.
But not everything is a win. After this.
Okay, my amazing, excellent wife just walked in. She's going to hang out with me. So I pause this for a sec. But okay, back to the editing. So I deleted the part where I said the date wrong. Now I left in the correct part.
After December 31st, 2025, homeowners will lose access to Section 25C.
Now, another thing here to notice is the size of the captions. Okay. So on LinkedIn, especially, most of these apps are designed for TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, etc. On LinkedIn, it uses more of the screen than the other apps. It's a very small nuance, but what happens is if the captions are close to the edge like they are here, they'll be right up to the edge on LinkedIn, and we don't want that. So I'm just going to make this a little bit smaller. And what happens is it goes through and adjusts all the captions. So when I adjusted the height of the caption and the size of it, it does that for all of them.
25, homeowners will lose access to Section 25C, the energy efficient home improvement credit, and Section 25D, which includes geothermal and other clean energy upgrades. These credits, worth up to $3,200 per year, have played a big...
Let's see that. How did that come out? 32. We're going to fix that. It said 30 and then the word 2. So I'm just going to get rid of that 30.
These credits, worth up to $3,200.
Where's that 2? Oh, it's in there. It's just smaller. Okay. So I'm just going to put a 3 in front of that 2. 3,200. Okay, let's see how that looks.
$3,200 per year.
That looks pretty good. And again, this seems like it's taken a long time, and it is.
These credits worth
but
up
when I'm doing it alone and I'm doing it on my phone, I could really, this whole process, I could probably do in an hour on this.
$3,200 per year have played a big role in driving residential HVAC demand. And on the commercial side, more changes. Section 45L, the residential builder credit, and Section 179D.
So you'll see too when I'm pronouncing the numbers and letters and SMACNA, and I'm doing that kind of stuff, is I'm trying to speak real clearly because the captions will pick it up better, and it just is less editing, and it sounds better too in the long run. So.
The commercial energy efficiency deduction will both expire after June 30th, 2026. Groups like SMACNA and...
Didn't spell that right. SMACNA.
Groups like SMACNA and SMART, S-M-A-R-T, warn that losing these incentives could stall major energy-saving projects. All right, so what does all this mean for you? If you're a residential contractor, Expect demand for upgrades to slow once incentives disappear. Commercial contractors, the loss of 179D could impact funding, so start planning.
Okay.
Rebates or local programs. And for building owners and homeowners, if you're considering a high-efficiency system, now might be the time to act. That's your HVAC breaking news of the day. The big beautiful bill brings both opportunity and challenges. What do you think? Is it good or bad for the HVAC industry?
All right, I'll cut it right there at the end. So what I'm doing here, I'm using the split tool. You see how it's cut the clips into two different. Now, one thing I can tell you is this is pretty long, 2.5 minutes. Now, all the platforms, let's see, TikTok, you could do up to 10 minutes. Instagram, 3 minutes. LinkedIn, which is primarily what we're focused on here, you could do, I think 10 minutes is the limit. I generally don't like to have them this long, but what the heck, I'm going to post it. It is the information in the breaking news story. You can't control how many details are in there, and it's a pretty big, this bill is pretty popular. Everybody knows about it. There's a lot in it, so I think it justifies a little bit longer of a
HVAC breaking news of the day.
Okay, so what we do now is we hit this export button. Let me just make sure I've got everything right here. Oh, I forgot to add I know what I forgot. So let me go to my TikTok page. And let me find me. Okay, so here's, my desk is still open here. Here's the previous one that I did. I should have probably showed this in the beginning to show you what the end product looks like. See this one right here? HVAC breaking news. And then there's one right here. So what I'm going to do is add in this red breaking news. See that? So let me minimize this so you can see this a little better. Let's see here. And I'm just going to use the words breaking news. And I believe I used trending maybe? No. I know what I used. Hold on. So I usually use this Fervent font. Fervent. And then I go to styles. And I pick this red with the white outline, and then I go down here, bold italic, and I bold it, and I make it italic, and I make it. You want this to be pretty big because you want people to see this on the thumbnail. Okay, now the thumbnail, that's a whole other thing we're going to get into.
HVAC.
But in the apps, you can pick the thumbnail. In other words, you pick. If I hover over it, it's going to change. But you see where it says breaking news to the right of the Insight Partners one, this one right here? See, the breaking news should say HVAC over it. See how this one is perfect here? This one on the left of the one that's playing, HVAC breaking news, that's what we want it to look like. And you'll do that in the actual app. All right, that's a lot of info. So I would probably do this one right here because you want HVAC to be in there and you want breaking news to be in there because people who don't know you, they're not going to click on it if it just says breaking news, or they're less likely to. They're more likely to click on it if it's in your niche. Okay, so I've got this thing. So the last thing I'm going to do here.
See breaking news of the day.
So I'm just going to get this to remove, this headline to remove after I do my opening my hook. Watch.
HVAC breaking news of the day. Signed on July 3rd.
There, now it's gone. Okay, so it gets it out of the way. So now I'm ready to go ahead and export this. We're just going to save it to my device. I always do it as 1080. You can do it at 4K, but 2K, 4K takes up a lot of memory on your phone, and 1080 is standard HD for all the platforms, so I don't have any problem with that. So save the device. Okay, that's it. And in future videos, I'll show you how to post that to LinkedIn in the app right from your phone. So I will take this and I'll put it into my content program that I'll show you as well if I haven't already done videos on that, and show you where I store it and how I pull it and put it on LinkedIn. And then if you want to put it on other platforms, you can do that as well. So I hope this was helpful. Thanks for watching.
HVAC breaking news of the day. Signed on July 3rd, the One Big Beautiful Bill Act just landed on President Trump's desk, and it brings both wins and losses for the HVAC industry. Here's what you need to know as reported by ACHR. First, a major win for the workforce. 529 education savings accounts can now be used for HVAC training, apprenticeship, and licensing, not just college. Industry leaders like ACCA and SMACNA are now calling this a game changer. It helps legitimize the trades, opens new doors for young people, and strengthens the pipeline for future techs and contractors. Next, we have some big news for small business owners. The bill permanently extends Section 199A, the qualified business income deduction. That's a major benefit for HVAC contractors operating as S-corps, partnerships, or sole proprietors. And with expanded income thresholds, $75,000 for individuals and $150,000 for married couples, more businesses can keep claiming up to 20% in deductions. But not everything is a win. After December 31st, 2025, homeowners will lose access to Section 25C, the Energy Efficient Home Improvement Credit, and Section 25D, which includes geothermal and other clean energy upgrades. These credits, worth up to $3,200 per year, have played a big role in driving residential HVAC demand. And on the commercial side, more changes. Section 45L, the residential builder credit, and Section 179D, the commercial energy efficiency deduction, will both expire after June 30th, 2026. Groups like SMACNA and SMART, SMART, warn that losing these incentives could stall major energy savings projects. All right, so what does all this mean for you? If you're a residential contractor, expect demand for upgrades to slow once incentives disappear. Commercial contractors, the loss of 179D could impact funding, so start planning now and look into utility rebates or local programs. And for building owners and homeowners, if you're considering a high-efficiency system, now might be the time to act. That's your HVAC breaking news of the day. The big beautiful bill brings both opportunity and challenges. What do you think? Is it good or bad for the HVAC industry?